Hello everyone, this is B from Ashbea Music. Today I will be talking about what the 11 Plus Music Aptitude Test is and how to prepare for it. Many clients and students come to us with a lot of questions and uncertainties regarding the process, as most of them are unfamiliar with this type of training. The Music Aptitude Test has been used for many years and is part of the selection criteria for most UK grammar schools. Entry to the test does not require any instrumental or music theory grades. Requirements may differ based on area and type of grammar school. Most private schools will require extra criteria on top of the music aptitude test, with some needing grade 5 in at least 2 instruments, so instrumental lessons are still a good investment even if you want your child to take part in this test. For most schools, the music aptitude test is a test in 2 stages, with entry to the second stage dependent on passing the first stage. Some schools do not follow this pattern, however, and these may require both stages to be completed on the same day. Both stages of this test assess the innate musicality, general music awareness, and perception of rhythm. So let's talk about all the essential details that you should consider when applying for this type of music scholarship. Stage 1 is a type of hearing or listening test where students are required to write down their answers. This test contains 60 multiple choice questions and is often split into 4 different sections. As mentioned, some schools may include a couple of extra sections where graphic scores are being used to determine volume and tempo changes, as well as style of music. There are also some schools that will ask candidates to sing melodic phrases and clap rhythmic patterns after hearing each test played twice. Each student will need to use their ears to discern small changes in pitch, rhythm, and texture, and these tests usually take between 25 to 45 minutes. Here is a brief description of the 4 main sections that are frequently used across state grammar schools. Number 1, pitch. Pitch will contain 20 questions, and in this part 2 notes will be played one after the other. The student must determine whether the notes were the same both times, or if the second note was higher or lower than the first note. There are 20 of these questions, and some of the pitches are less than a semitone apart. We call those microtones, and these are very tiny steps that can be very difficult to identify, as the change in pitch is very subtle. I will now give you an example of 2 notes played one after the other, and I'll change one note. You can hear that the second note was lower than the first. Sometimes they may ask whether the second note was up or down from the first, or whether it was the same. In this case, the second note was lower or down from the first. And now I will play 2 notes where the second note is only a semitone higher. And now I will play 2 notes where the second note is a microtone, a tiny step lower. The second section is texture, and in this section 2, 3 or 4 notes will be played at the same time, which is called a chord. Students must be able to recognize how many notes were played at the same time. There are 20 questions in this section. Here is an example of a chord that contains 3 notes. Remember that all the notes will be played at the same time, which can be quite a challenging task for students to recognize and hear well. I will now play a chord that contains 4 notes. And I will now play a chord that contains 2 notes. The third section is melody, and in this part a melodic sequence of 5 notes will be played. Then the 5 notes are played a second time, either exactly the same as before or with a change to one of the notes. The student has to determine whether the melody was the same both times, or if it changed, which one of the 5 notes changed the second time. There are 10 questions in this section. I will now play a melodic sequence of 5 notes twice, where I'll change the 3rd note. The 3rd note's changed from so instead of, I've changed it to the 4th section is rhythm, where a short rhythm of 4 beats or pulses will be played. Then the rhythm is played again, either exactly the same way or with a change in one of the beats. The student has to determine whether the rhythm was the same both times, or if it changed, which one of the 4 beats was different. There are 10 questions in this section. I will now play an example of 2 rhythmic patterns played one after the other. I will play 4 beats at the start to indicate the speed of the rhythm. As mentioned before, some state schools may include a couple of additional sections which will not be listed here. The Stage 1 music test using this 4-section structure is held after school with many students in a hall like a traditional exam. There will be many speakers around the room and all sounds will be played through them. All successful and unsuccessful applicants who attend 4 sections of the Stage 1 music test will know their results within a week, and if successful, they will be invited to Stage 2 of the Music Aptitude Test. The second stage of the Music Aptitude Test, also known as the performance stage, is conducted by experienced examiners who will assess each student's musical aptitude. Most examiners will be assessing accuracy, musicality, and musical communication, awarding a total score out of 45. Most schools with the second stage process do not require any familiarity with music theory or other previous musical knowledge. Each student will be asked to prepare one piece of their own choice on a chosen instrument, which includes singing. The piece usually should last no longer than 3 minutes. However, some schools may ask you to prepare a couple of songs, which would increase the total performance time. The Stage 2 performance is usually conducted during the school day. Feel free to reach out to us by email or request a call, and we will be able to help you answer any additional questions you may have. Don't forget to watch our math tutorials on our YouTube channel, including our free math tests. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel should you wish to receive notifications about our newly released tutorials and tests. All the best in your preparation.